Hello, this is the watch along for the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix. Now, I will give you a few details so you know what to do if you want to watch this video along with me whenever you have time. I will give you the link. Now, here is the link for those you wondering. It is and if you're wondering where's the football, well, so I think I've already made it very clear on my Crystal One Core channel that I'm not really focusing on the Premier League or the Champions League, so nostalgia trip. Yes, we are doing a nostalgia trip. If you want to type in the website name archive.org-details 2005 Japanese Grand Prix _202406, which I presume is the day it was date and month it was uploaded. I'm already at the 1 minute 29 mark, so get yourselves up there. Just so you know, I'll give you a bit of time to find it, and I'm going to tell you when I'm going to start watching the video. 1 minute 29, so I hope everyone is well this evening. I'm not watching the football because I have no live streams or anything, and to be honest, I'm not really interested enough to really want to talk about it. Thank you for the like. I'm going to press the play button now.
New tyres, and that's different to normal because usually, of course, they've done an outlap, a hard qualifying.
Hello there, Haley. I hope you're doing well. Hello, Sharon. I hope you're doing well as well. Don't know what's going on in the comments. Just so you know, your pole sitter is Ralf Schumacher in the Toyota. All the cars are going down the grade. Now at the 2 minute 15 mark, if you're just joining in, 2:22. Thank you for 3 likes. Just so you know, Alonso had already won the championship. I'm going to put in more details. Championship runner-up Kimi Raikkonen was starting down in P17. And his teammate Montoya was also starting around the same position behind him in P18 or 19. And I think Alonso was also starting miles down the grid. All the cars are now heading towards the grid at the 3 minute mark of the video. I am now on lap 1, just so you know. Ferrari isn't the only team who had radio drama last Sunday, okay. Just so you know, Bottas was starting on the front row alongside Mr. Ralph. think Alonso was starting P14. The race is starting. 5 lights, and away we go. Oh, that's a slow start by Bottas. Fisichella goes straight into second. Oh, that's goal for the Bud alongside. Takuma Sato's off the track. What a dreadful season he had. Oh, yeah, Williams and Sainz. Yeah, I know Sainz, they were really annoyed with him. Takuma Sato only scoring 1 point all season in 2005 makes a terrible start to his own Grand Prix. I think this was around the time when he announced the Rubens Barrichello move. Was it Rubens Barrichello leaving Ferrari to join the rebranded Honda team for 2005, of course. This was the last year of British American Tobacco owning the Honda team, since, of course, tobacco sponsorship was getting banned around this point, with, of course, the Hungarian Grand Prix being the moment when they got rid of cigarette sponsorship from Formula One. I mean, obviously, Philip Morris still gives Ferrari money to this day, but I know there was that Mission Winnow sponsorship they had on the engine cowling of Ferrari back in 2018, but it got banned for subliminal advertising. Yes, Takuma Sato, how old is he now? 48 years old. He's going to be racing at Indy 500. Unbelievable. Ralf Schumacher crosses the line in the lead. Fisichella second, bottom third. And there's 2 cars that have got off the track at the final turn. It is Juan Pablo Montoya with his entire left-hand side destroyed. And I think the other driver was Jacques Villeneuve, who collided with him. 2 former IndyCar champions colliding on the exit of the chicane at the end of the lap. And there were double wave yellows all over the track, and frankly, I think with Montoya's cord sticking out on the circuit, they really had to bring a safety car out. Looks like Barrichello was pitting at this point. Barrichello pit stop. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Raikkonen and Alonso started very low down. I think Kimi rose up to P12, and I think Alonso got into the top 10 roughly. I don't know, don't quote me on it, but oh, we've gone straight to lap 4, so oh, Alonso was P8, and alongside Michael Schumacher in P7. Webber was 5th, and Christian Klein's Red Bull was up to 6th. Takuma Sato got off wide, and oh, he tagged the rear end of Barrichello, and both of them took a trip into the gravel. To be fair, looks like Sato had already gone wide before he made contact with Barrichello, so really that was just an accident between Sato and Barrichello. Barrichello also went wide. It was just a coincidence. They would tag each other off the track, so no one was a culprit in that collision. It was just on bad luck. British American Tobacco still give McLaren money. Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, thank you for reminding me that. It's almost like, I don't know why. Oh, I mean, okay, yeah, I understand why Philip Morris gives Ferrari money, because I think Philip Morris still has like shares in Ferrari to this day. Whilst a better tomorrow, yes, that's it. Yeah, I'm not really sure what BAT get out of giving McLaren money. Like, unless they've got shares in the team, then I don't really think like having shares or sponsorship with what's it, McLaren is going to help, because McLaren have a predominantly papaya orange colour scheme, so it doesn't make you think of the old Lucky Strike sponsorship they used to have on their own car. Ferrari still used predominantly red and white colour scheme, so obviously you still get like flashbacks to the old Marlboro livery of the recent years, 20 years ago that is. Funnily enough, Kimi Räikkönen, who obviously liked an occasional cigarette once in a while, actually was the last guy to win a race with full Marlboro livery at the 2007 Chinese Grand Prix, of course. Of course, ever since then, even in China, they've been restricting tobacco sponsorship. So, and instead, we have crypto and gambling sponsors instead investing the sport. Sauber, Stake Sauber, that is. Starting lap 5. Oh, Velo. Oh, Velo does nicotine pouches. That's never knew that. Never knew that. Well, obviously, I've never smoked a single cigarette in my life because of my allergies, the fact that I have eczema, and I suffer from hay fever, and I get some horrible days where I just get a headache from having hay fever in itself. So smoking has never really been on my mind. It's just every time I smell someone lighting up a cigarette, my brain just thinks, oh no, I'm going to start choking and coughing now all the time. I mean, I could remember when I was at school, like, the teachers lit a cigarette to, like, show some sort of chemical process, what happens when you light a cigarette. Oh my lord, I could remember I spent the rest of the day with the most horrible smoker's cough. I was just choking my lungs out. It was so unpleasant. This was like when I was like 13 years old, by the way. It's just dreadful. I just don't understand how people. I just don't understand why people get addicted to cigarettes. Like the smell, the fumes, the ashes that come out. It's just. Oh, it gives me the ick. That's all I'm going to say. It gives me the ick. But of course, it wasn't for cigarette sponsorship. I mean, many drivers like Kimi Räikkönen, Michael Schumacher, Fernando Alonso with mild 7 Japanese sponsorship on his old Renault would have never become multi-millionaires. Of course, Ayrton Senna's Prost drove for the Marlboro McLaren team. I don't know, is Lambert's a cigarette sponsor or is it an alcohol brand? I've got no idea because I know Nigel Mansell. Oh yeah, Nigel Mansell drove for Ferrari for a couple of years. So yeah, obviously he was sponsored by a cigarette company. Nelson Piquet. Oh yeah, he drove for Camel Lotus. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Max Verstappen and I think Sebastian Vettel were never sponsored by a cigarette company, but instead they drove for a energy drinks company. Of course, this was Red Bull's debut season in Formula One, with David Coulthard in 4th place, and obviously it's best advised not to overdose on Red Bull with the amount of caffeine they have in their drinks. Of course, Red Bull is the ingredients and the recipe for Red Bull was invented and founded in none other than, of course, Thailand, which, of course, I think one of my viewers knows. Well, his mum is from Thailand, so of course he knows a lot about that country. Kray Deng Tang, I think, is the Red Bull's original name before, of course, Dietrich Mateschitz was bored one summer, decided that he'd go on a holiday to Thailand, and he wasn't really tired after like a day of, I don't know, waterboarding and surfing, and obviously he was struggling with the humidity. And he decided someone gave him a what would be it would form the basis of the Red Bull energy drinks recipe, and he obviously made a lot of money out of it. And of course, we have to realise Red Bull do what called are the kings of guerrilla marketing, with sponsoring all sorts of extreme sports, motor racing, and of course, in recent times they've also entered the world of football. Going to like student parties, nightclub. Oh yeah, Lambert's is, I think it's Canadian beer. But Nigel Mansell drove for Ferrari since, of course, I know from like the early 80s, 70s ish. Ferrari got Marlboro sponsorship, and of course, I think Marlboro were like giving way more money towards McLaren until, of course, their partnership ended in 1996, where, of course, McLaren replaced Marlboro with West sponsorship, which ended in, of course, this season, 2005. Yeah, cheers, John. What else? I'm trying to think. Obviously, Jordan had the Beds of the Hedges sponsorship. I know, yeah, people apparently, I know that you get silly stories thinking that, was it the yellow and red livery inspired DHL's current logo, but I mean, it was more Eddie Jordan trying to big himself up. Rest in peace to the great man himself. But obviously, I think the yellow car livery was really inspired by Benson and Hedges, which, by the way, of course, the first year of the Jordan, Benson and Hedges sponsorship saw the car being painted in gold, bright shiny gold, and that's Barrichello going to the pits for the second time within just 6 laps. I think just stocking up on fuel, making sure he gets the car to the finish. Look at that. I think that's 5, 6. I think that's like 6. That's 7 different. No, that's 6 different makes of cars in the top 7 alone. Schumacher's Toyota, Fisichella Renault, Button's BAR Honda, Coulthard's Red Bull, Mark Webber's Williams BMW, the last year of the Williams BMW partnership. Of course, they were sponsored by Nickerton at this point. So, I mean, simultaneously, there was also they were getting sponsors from company helping people to quit smoking. Sick was obviously, what's his name? Christian Clean, in the sister Red Bull. And then, of course, in the top, and in 7th place, there's Michael Schumacher's Ferrari. 6 different makes of cars in the top 7. And, of course, there was Jackson Villeneuve in 9th place. So, make that 7 cars in the top 9. 7 different manufacturers in the top 9 constructors. I will, obviously, you'll notice these older cars had a car width of 1.8 meters, so they were it was a lot easier to steer the car into the corners. They had a much bigger slip angle. The tyres were obviously a lot smaller. Now we're getting restarted for the race. Ralf Schumacher is the race leader. Starting onto lap 8. The Japanese fans waving their flags around as a Toyota leads the race here at Suzuka. Oh, and that's Schumacher goes past Clean down the start-finish straight. Michael Schumacher goes past Clean for P6 behind Mark Webber's Williams. A stunning restart there by the 7 times world champion. In a year where he only managed to win 1 race at the infamous United States Grand Prix at Indianapolis, where only 6 cars started the race. And of course, if those of you know, yes, Michelin had tyre problems, where of course Ralf Schumacher, the race leader, suffered a repeat of his accident the year before, but thankfully he would escape without any injuries. But instead, there were Michelin could not guarantee the safety of their tyres for the race, so it resulted in 17th withdrawing from the race, and of course there was a big hoo-ha about it. As Kimi did lose the championship on 21 points, I mean, really, it didn't really actually factor into the championship as much as I would have liked it to have done. 1.65 second gap between Ralph and Fisichella. I mean, you can tell, I mean, obviously everyone suspected the Toyota was lightly fueled, and Alonso goes off the road, takes P7 off Christian Clean. Alcohol. Okay, alcohol sponsorship. Yeah, I watched Josh Stock's The Bowling Yorkshireman review on it. Probably 1 minute, but of course I don't. I will watch that video when I have time. Obviously, Alonso is up to P7, but he did go off the road at the chicane, and I think that immediately raised eyebrows at race control about it, and as you will see, it was quite controversial to say the least, and Alonso went around the outside going into the chicane, but he outbraked himself, rejoined the circuit of the old chicane path. Not the cleanest of move, I have to say, by the new world champion at this point, Alonso, who was only 24 years old. That makes me feel ancient saying that. And the fastest lap of the race, Ralf Schumacher, the race leader, flying. But of course, something just didn't seem right about Ralf Schumacher being so quick in the Toyota. So the top three remains the same. Coulthard still in fourth, Webber fifth, Schumacher sixth. But now you've got Alonso bearing down on the 7-time champion, clean down to 8th place. But Raikkonen was up to P10 at this point, having got past Antonio Pizzonia, who was deputising for the injured Nick Heidfeld, who had damaged his shoulder in a biking accident before the Turkish Grand Prix, which ended Heidfeld's season. Look at that. A new fastest lap by Ralf Schumacher, 32.8. Serious pace in that Toyota. Serious pace. I will restart the video. Oh, and Pizzonia's got off. Pizzonia's done for the day. He's beached that Williams in the gravel. He's trying to restart the car, but he cannot find a gear. It looks like the car, he forgot to engage the clutch. Obviously, it was a career which was very much a big part career for Pizzonia, having started at Jaguar for 2003, sacked after the British Grand Prix, but then funnily enough he returned exactly a year later for Williams to stand in for Ralf Schumacher and Marc Genet at the following year's German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. Oh, right, Lando Norris fans going bananas, eh? I couldn't be shocked, eh? Oh, dear, what a crazy fan. Look, no matter how angry I got when things went wrong with Kimi Raikkonen, I never behaved like that. Like, I don't know, mate. I think Lando Norris fans need to re-examine Lando's driving techniques and his approach to race starts, but obviously, there were a couple of drivers on this 2005 grid who also were a bit questionable with their race starts. Oh, Jarno Trulli's off. Jarno Trulli is off the track. He's had massive damage to the right-hand side pod to his Toyota. And the marshals have come out on the track to help push the car away. I mean, in today's F1, that would be a slam dunk safety car. But it looks like the marshals have got the time and the space to clear his stricken Toyota. And is that Alonso behind? Oh, it's Alonso behind clean, I think. Oh yeah, Fernando Alonso's been forced to give P7 back to clean. It looks like he's been told to, because it was not a legit move. Just so you know, I don't want to spoil what happened to Trulli, but when I show you the replay, I will. When they show the replay, I'll tell you exactly what happened. And look at that, Christian Clean is holding up Alonso so much. Some brilliant defensive driving here from the Austrian 22-year-old. And look at that, who's in P9? Look who's in P9, folks. Having got past the 1997 champion, Jack Newtown. It is the double F1 runner-up, Kimi, Matthias Raikkonen. And let's watch the replay. Alonso dives up the inside of the casino chicane. And he's completely smashed into his right side pod. My goodness me, Takuma. I think you should go and become like a lightweight wrestler or something with that sort of driving. Unbelievable driving, by the way, folks. And yet somehow, the BA Honda did not pick up any long terminal damage to his car somehow. I mean, the suspension remained intact. But the same cannot be said for Jarno Trulli, who was rightly infuriated with Takuma's boneheaded driving. Look at this. Christian Clean is absolutely showing no respect to the new world champion. Look at that. I mean, Alonso is almost already 5 seconds behind Michael Schumacher. Oh, now Alonso finally gets past Mr. Clean. Took him about 2 laps to do it. That's 5 seconds he lost. Oh dear. Ralf Schumacher still out in the lead. Surprisingly staying out a bit longer than I think a lot of people thought he would do. Just listen to the sound of that V10. 3-second gap over Fizzy. I mean, yeah, he drove a good race, but considering the circumstances, I mean, Ralph was 5 seconds ahead of Button at this point, heading towards the 130R, what used to be one of the scariest corners in F1 before, of course, they reprofiled the corner after Adam McNish's horrific warm-up crash back in 2002. Oh, and now he pits. The race leader, Ralf Schumacher, pits. And that was always something of a bit of a glory run there for the local Toyota boys. Apparently people thought they would make it to lap 16, but turns out Toyota were very much not really. Were prioritising the publicity and the money and the Carter-K's got problems in the pits, yeah, but Ralf Schumacher, Toyota were very much light fueling the cars of publicity stunt. Fisichella is Giancarlo Fisichella is your new race leader, and you know, at this point, when you consider where Kimi and Alonso are, like, he should be in a position to win the race. Coulthard up to 3rd, Webber up to 4th, 5th is Michael Schumacher, Alonso is in 6th. Clean is 7th. Kimi now into the points with Ralf Schumacher tumbling down the order, down to 9th place. Yeah, I mean, Fisichella looking set for what would have only have been his 3rd career race win. Jenson Button, 3.5 seconds behind the race leader. Still no career wins at this point in his career, by the way, for the BAR Honda lead driver, Mr. Button. Coulthard 3rd, Webber 4th, Michael 5th, 6th Alonso 7th. Kimi Raikkonen now having launched his car past Christian Klein's Red Bull. And now Alonso is all over the rear end of the Ferrari. He cannot navigate away past the septuple world champion. And that's a new fastest lap there by the double runner-up Kimi Raikkonen at 32.084. What a lap! And Kimi's now all over. Is now chasing Schumacher and Alonso. A monster scrap emerging for P5. Look how fast Kimi was in that McLaren. What the hell lap is it? It's lap 17. Who's the count of having laps there on? Look at that. 1.5 seconds Alonso took out of Schumacher on lap 14. He took 3 seconds out of Schumacher in 3 successive laps. Oof. Just so, okay, it's now, yeah. Pause the video. If you have just joined in yet, that's where I am on the video. I'm going to restart. Now, Schumacher struggling a little bit. Fisichella leading by 4 seconds, almost an 8-second gap over Coulthard, and leading Webber by 9.5 seconds. Schumacher's already 15 seconds behind. Schumacher's losing about almost a rate of a second to race leader Giancarlo Fisichella. Alonso is so, yeah. I have to realise that Ferrari only managed to take a single race win in 2005 up to this point, and despite the fact they were able to finish 3rd in the Constructors, that Ferrari was miserably slow at certain races. Monza, Turkey, I mean, there were just some places where Ferrari were just simply miles behind, because for Bridgestone, we have to remember, were unable to adapt to the new tyre regulations, which mandated all the cars could only use 1 set of tyres in dry conditions to last the entire full race distance. 2 decades later. Okay, it wasn't quite that bad in 06, 07 and most of 08, but it was kind of, 2005 was like an indicator of Ferrari's eventual future from like 2009 onwards, of how slow and mediocre they would become. With what was a very recalcitrant Ferrari F2005, the Bridgestones absolutely sucked this season. Like, it made Jordan and Minardi even slower than they usually were throughout this time in F1. And 7 teams actually would know from what happened at Indy were using Michelin tyres, because Michelin had frankly completely had destroyed Bridgestone in terms of creating superior tyres. But what was I going to say? Yeah, but of course what happened at Indy would also result in the demise of Michelin, since of course 12 months later Michelin would withdraw from F1, and of course Alonso's looking for a gap to overtake Schumacher, but Schumacher's defending it was absolutely superb under pressure, not even remotely bothered by the fact that Alonso happened to be the new world champion, having taken his first ever crown at the Interlagos Grand Prix. Wait, Ollie Oaks has just resigned from Alpine. Okay, that's an interesting turn of events. I think I might do a rumours update video. Oh God, I mean, when you consider how much time Kimi lost behind Schumacher, it really does makes you realise what happened was truly outstanding. Truly outstanding. So, oh yeah, obviously, rest in peace, Jochen Mass, who who of course was sadly the guy who collided with Gilles Villeneuve in the qualifying session that took Gilles' life at the 1982. Oh my God! Alonso with a superb move around the outside of Michael Schumacher at 130. Oh my God, 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 oh my God. Okay, go to 35 minutes, 0-0, just to re-watch that overtaking maneuver. Oh my goodness me. Oh my word. I don't often praise Fernando Alonso, but oh my giddy me. Wow. Just superb. I do not have the vocabulary to tell you how good that move was. I just paused the video there for you to catch up, but wow! He just looked at Schumacher and thought, you've got 2 kids and you're married. Like, I know you're not going to defend against me, so I'm gonna take pinch P5 of you. And I think did Vissicella do a pit stop? Yeah. That escalated quickly with Alpine. Indeed it did. This is your new top 3 though, as race leader Vissicella pits. But what a move that was by the only driver to win a world championship for Renault. What the hell am I typing? But it has to be said, I mean, the drag that the Ferrari was producing down the straights was so severe to the point that you know, Schumacher was forced to yield. He just didn't have the straight line speed to defend against Fred, as we would know him today. Hall of Fame. It was a proper Hall of Fame move, that. And now Kimi moves up to P6. Alonso up to P4 after his teammate pitted on lap 21. I mean, obviously, most of the other drivers, unlike Ralf Schumacher, actually took the sensible route and took over, stocked up on at least 22 laps of fuel. Of course, I think now that fuel mileage was also extended by that early safety car period. And now, of course, Kimi Matthias Raikkonen is going to fancy his chances against that absolute slug of a Italian piece of engineering. New fastest lap, Alonso 31.6. Woo! Oh my, what? Oh my God. And yeah, Alonso's now chasing Webber in front of him. Look at that. Look at how much time he's taken out of Button. He's only 11.5 seconds behind the news race leader, Jenson Button. Look at this. All the front runners are making their way up the order. Whilst obviously the midfielders are kind of holding everyone up front. You know, Lamine Yamal was absolutely fantastic in the last Wednesday's Champions League semi-final first leg, but you know, I just begin to out of the bed team, so but we're on lap 23. I mean, he's the only Spanish driver to become a F1 champion, just like Verstappen, the only Dutch, and of course Prost, the only French to do a championship win. Bottom pits, and I think Alonso's pitted as well. Let's see the new race leader. It must be Coulthard. I think Coulthard took the lead, didn't he? Boyd took on 26 laps of fuel, okay, and only 13 laps of fuel for Alonso. Just so you know, refueling was permitted in F1, and that's Christian Clean pitting, not Coulthard. It was Clean. Canberra Milk Kid, yes, that was Mark Webber's little advert back in the day. He was one hell of a singer, I may say. Look at that, Schumacher up to third, and where the hell was Alonso? Just so you know, Fisichella and Schumacher were 5th and 6th, and Alonso dropped out to P10 thanks to his pit stop. Yeah, that's going to be it for Mick Dolan. Absolutely. No way. Mick Dolan will survive at Alpine. And rightly so. I mean, he hasn't done much in his first 6 races. 7 races he count for Abu Dhabi last season. Oh, Kimi's slipstreaming. Schumacher into the first corner at Suzuka, but he cannot find a way past. And that's Webber and Coulthard pitting. I think that's the net lead that's been given to Michael Schumacher and the Kimster. Not the net lead, no. The lead on the road. Sorry, Jack Dolan, I beg your pardon. Obviously. Oh, yeah, I just found out what's his name. A former Australian superbike rider named, was it? Anthony Goldberg actually passed away over a year ago. I didn't even heard of this news because I remember I posted something on posted a video of him back in the day at the end of 2023, and then I actually forgot about him. I think I saw like a Twitter picture post about Anthony Goldberg somewhere about who's the best motorcyclist to ever win a championship, and his name popped up, but I never knew he was actually seriously ill from like drug addiction. I mean, he was like a poor man's version of Kimi Räikkönen and James Hunt, but unlike Hunt and Raikkonen, he never really got his act together for like a sustained period of time to be able to win a championship at the World Superbike level, which is a shame. But yeah, but of course, I think some of the things he did when he was pretty much kicked out of the sport was pretty unpleasant and not exactly the most savoury, like stealing money from pensioners. Ralf Schumacher back up to 4th, but he's 10 seconds behind his brother Michael, born up to 5th. But of course, yeah, Fisichella had easily got past Ralf Schumacher through the first stint, having much more speed in his Renault. And my Kimi Raikkonen, how many laps has it? He's now been stuck behind Schumacher for like 5-6 laps. I think Kimi, obviously, I remember Kimi Raikkonen did some pre-audacious overtakes back in his days at McLaren, but even then, even when he was at McLaren, he was a bit cautious at time, I've got to say. Schumacher's top speed had 360k down down the fast section going to the casino chicane. Race leader Schumacher, Michael, lap 25, still leading. Fisichella only 7.6 seconds behind. Ralph falling 11.5 seconds behind. Yeah, Ralph, but Toyota really didn't have any pace in it. Bond 5th, Webber 6th, Coulthard 7th, Villeneuve 8th. Alonso only up to 9th, having just skipped past Massa for P9. Thank you for 7 likes, and yes, Felipe Massa takes his pit stop with, of course, the Swiss Satina logo all over the Sauber lollipop. Oh, looks like Schumacher's going to pit. If you want to start watching the video on the link I've given you, you can do it right there. I'm presuming it's now half time at the Champions League match between, I don't know, Inter Barcelona and Barcelona United, whatever they're called. But anyway. Oh, Kimi. Oh, Kimi follows Schumacher into the pits. Interesting. First and second pit, and that's Fisichella back into the net race lead, everybody. Ralph. Obviously, I know about all the stories about Ralph Schumacher when he came out last year, and of course, the very sad situation around Ralph's ex-wife and their son David. I mean, the story that came out where apparently Cora Schumacher actually strapped David into their car together, and apparently she tried to delete herself and their son at the end of 2006. So yeah, I think people kind of still wonder to this day what happened to Ralph Schumacher towards the end of his time at Toyota, and unfortunately there were a lot of marital issues involving himself and his wife. I don't know. Oh no, sorry, I forgot to write down Oscar Piastri's manager's name in P3. Schumacher returned to P4. And of course, Kimi and Alonso were sitting 5th and 6th. Of course, it seems like Alonso wasn't able to capitalize on that overtake of Michael Schumacher after all. Though, of course, apparently, I don't know what happened, but I think Alonso was given a call to give back his position to Christian Clean again, because apparently he didn't return the position back properly, according to the race officials, which made him lose even more time. Oh, there's Kimi! There's Kimi! Around the outside of the opening corners. What a move! What a move there! Obviously, that's not the best camera angle, but what a move! Kimi Raikkonen's anticipation and caught Michael Schumacher napping there. Oh yeah, sorry. Oh no, it was actually Jensen Boyd in P2 actually. And wow, Ralf Schumacher was seriously slow now. I mean, dropped back down to P8. Bloody hell, that Toyota was slower than Nikita Mazepin in his whole F1 career at Haas. I mean, 2 stops. He did 2 stops by lap 30. Oh no! Look at that! Look at the gap between Kimi and Schumacher. It's already up to 2 seconds. Insanely fast. Now we're starting lap 31. Kimi's Alonso is probing the rear end of the Ferrari, but gotta say it, Schumacher was doing a very good job considering the Ferrari's lack of general speed down the straights and through the corners. Oh, Schumacher takes the inside line into the opening curve, but Alonso cannot position his car around the outside. And Schumacher was already falling 20 seconds behind Fisichella. My word, what a move that was by Kimi, Matthias Raikkonen on the previous lap. I mean, he picked up the toe. Schumacher went to the inside too early, to be honest, and that just opened the door up for Kimi to blast past around the outside. Schumacher, though, would not make the same mistake on the following lap when Alonso tried to do the same. And it has to be said, Alonso was quite unlucky in his race when you take in consideration that I think he had to return his position twice to clean, and the fact that just Kimi's pace throughout his race was just sensational. And look at that, 2.5 second gap between Kimi and Michael Schumacher already within about 2 laps. Right. Scrum. Bloody licious there by Kimi. Just listen to that sound. Just listen to that V10 scream. Thank you for 8 likes. Oh, look at that. Fisichella developed a 15-second lead over Bottas, 18 seconds over Kimi, and 21.7 over Michael Schumacher. So, I mean, at this point, this really should have been a slam dunk race win for Fisichella with just 22 laps remaining. My God, it's really... I mean, surely Fisichella can't lose this race, this win, surely. Oh no, I mean, it's slam dunk. Some thought, obviously, at the time. But I mean, what I saw from this point onwards 20 years ago was just, frankly, I was just even more amazed from what I saw from this point onwards. I mean, we already had Alonso's insanely brave move around the outside of 130R on Michael, and then, of course, Kimi overtaking Schumacher around the outside of the first corner into... I keep forgetting what the first corner is called at Suzuka. Indeed, it was a simpler time. Oh, Schumacher braking late, trying to defend his line. Alonso, good position to take a toe down the straight. I think he's and Alonso's got past already halfway through the start-finish straight. He's already screamed past Michael's ailing red dog. Lap 33, and Alonso is up to P5, ladies and gentlemen. I think that was more of a case of Michael gifting the position to Alonso, because I think Schumacher's Bridgestone tyres were beginning to cry too much there. And of course, you couldn't change your tyres in a dry condition, so I think Michael's tyres were short. And there's Kortekayan getting lapped. And at this point, there was only 3 cars that retired. Truly, Pizzonia and Montoya proving how strong reliability was in F1 already by the mid-2000s, of course. The Italian Grand Prix was the first race since the 1961 Dutch Grand Prix where all cars that started finished the race. Now, I think the 1961 Dutch Grand Prix only had 13 cars starting, so it was always going to be quite straightforward for 13 cars to last what was back then a 350-kilometer race distance. But with this, of course, in 2005, there were 10 teams on the grid with 20 cars. So it was a remarkable achievement back then, since, of course, I don't think anyone had seen anything like it by that point, with, of course, Indianapolis being a major exception for the wrong reasons. And there's Kimi Raikkonen fighting Webber for that podium spot. Oh, outfoot brake. Oh, Albus is on fire. He's on fire. Christian Albus in the Minardi. He's on fire. He's wearing an orange helmet. Oh, there's so much smoke in that Minardi, in what would be Minardi's penultimate race in Formula One. Obviously, the news had emerged that Red Bull had bought out the Italian Minardi team, and he would be getting rebranded as Scuderia Toro Rosso. And of course, I do remember they had plans to actually name the team Squadra Toro Rosso, but of course, that sounded more like a football club's name, so they changed it to Scuderia Toro Rosso to make it sound more like a Grand Prix F1 team. And look at all the extinguisher liquid on the ground. Wow, blimey. To be fair, I think by like 2025 standards, I think a lot of people would actually call this race quite dull. But of course, back then in 2005, you had pit refuel, you had fuel stops, and the dirty air and the groove tyres made it really hard to overtake. Now the race lead... Oh, Alonso's pitting, sorry. Fernando Alonso is pitting from P5, so yeah, I mean, he was... Track position absolutely destroyed Alonso's race, I'm afraid. And of course, old Christian clean incident totally stopping any narrow chances he had of victory. I think even if he had caught up with Fisichella, I don't think he would have attempted to overtake Fisichella like you know who did. That's Alonso down to 8th behind roadblock Ralf Schumacher. Coulthard was in 6th place. I've got to say it, Button, Webber and Coulthard drove a very solid race. Clean, Basser built out the rest of the top 10, but of course points only filtered down to 8th place. Villeneuve was down to 11th. I mean, Villeneuve got absolutely slapped up by Felipe Massa in 2005 when he was Sauber teammates. I mean, I know Villeneuve only finished like a couple of points behind Massa in the points standings, but really, I mean, under today's point system, I think the gap would have been significantly larger. Oh yeah, and of course, this was the race when Honda had announced that they had fully bought out British American Racing for God. And that obviously, the BAT sponsorship would end at the end of 2006 due to the tobacco sponsorship ban in the European Union. I don't know why they don't bring back cigarette sponsorship back to F1 now, because I mean, European races now consist make up a much smaller chunk of the F1 calendar. Well, of course, I know there's probably all sorts of other rules and regulations about tobacco sponsorship, which make it even more impossible. Fisichella still leading the race. Honestly, at this point, it just they look really comfortable, and I think Fisichella made the mistake of just backing off, looking after his tyres a bit too much. He was pitting at this point, but I have to say, I think Fisichella was far too conservative in his driving. Jordo Trulli is on the buzzer to Louise Goodman, and he's just pissed about what happened between him and Sato. 8 second stop for Fisichella, which back then was an okay stop, since of course you had to wait for the fuel rig to be poured out to the car. Oh, and Kimi actually emerged in front of the Fisichella, who obviously of course Fisichella had on his second stop was Kimi. Oh. I mean, it was safe to say Sato was on very much walking a tightrope at BA Honda at this point, and yeah, Honda were very concerned about Sato's future, so they went and actually created a new F1 team out of thin air, thanks to persuading Super Guri to throw his money at Guri Suzuki to create the so-called Super Guri team for 2008. Of course, Kimi, on the contrary, was pushing to the absolute limits of his McLaren, and now he was only a second, or just over a second behind race leader Bottas. Fisichella was 4.5 seconds behind Bottas. Schumacher was still actually only within 9 seconds of Bottas. Oh dear! Oh wow! But Alonso was 24.5 seconds behind. I mean, Alonso really was struggling now on his current fuel load, and truth be told, I mean, Alonso's chances of winning the race was completely short, dead. At the point of no return, unfortunately. Kimi was seriously flying at this point, seriously quick. Mark Webber was absolutely excellent in this race, by the way. I mean, at this point, like, when people used to say, oh, Jenson Button looks like a future world champion, I'd be like, shut the F up. Like, I always sat there and thought, God, he's got so much British bias going for him. I mean, Mark Webber was one hell of a quick driver when he was much younger, by the way, before, of course, he made the return to Red Bull, which used to be Jaguar back in, like, 2004-ish. Yeah, but the thing is, Alonso was like 24 seconds behind Bottas at this point in the race, and of course, he was about 20 seconds or so behind his teammate, Fisichella, so I suppose the Renault just didn't have the raw race pace that McLaren did at this point. I think I've lost my chat, so I think when this race ends, I think I'm gonna have to like I'm going to have to read out the chat. Are they going to pit? Or Borden? Yep, Borden pits. Button also had like the Union Jack painted over his side pop flaps, and of course Australian Mark Webber follows him into the pits as well. So Kimi Räikkönen takes the lead on the road for now. Oh, Webber beats Button out of the pits. Just about, yes. Fantastic pit work by the Williams boys. And that has proven to be costly for the 25-year-old British driver from Frome. Just so you know, there is a settlement in Somerset called Frome, which Jenson Button originates from. And Michael third, Coulthard fifth, Ralph fifth, Webber sixth, Bond seventh, and Alonso down in P8, still unable to make ground on anyone. Oh, the commentators work out here saying that Raikkonen doesn't really have much chance of winning a race with 12 laps to go. Because apparently they think that being stuck behind Button and Webber was costly. And according to the one and only James Allen, with just 11 laps to go on the road, Kimi leads, but he's yet to stop. 9.8 seconds stop there for the 7-time world champion. Not a good stop by Ferrari. Of course, that would become a very regular catchphrase for many years later. Poor pit stop by Ferrari. What are they doing? Yabba, 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 yabba. But Kimi's just flying now in clean air. Look at him go. Ferociously quick, that McLaren Mercedes MP420. What a car that was. You know, if I ever have a chance to drive a Formula 1 car, this is the car I want to drive. A McLaren Mercedes MP420. And of course, even though he was yet to pit, he was 7.3 seconds out of Fisichella. So even with the pit stop he would have to do, he was technically still like 15 seconds behind Fisichella in terms of the net deficit. Got 10 laps to go, everyone. 8.7 seconds between Kimi and Vizzy. 1.2 seconds Kimi took out of Vizzy within less than a lap. Oh my goodness me, what a performance this is by the double F1 runner-up. How has this guy not got a world championship at this point? This is daylight robbery we're witnessing here, folks. This guy should have more world championships than Zinedine Zidane has World Cups. Oh, advert break. I think, did Kimi pit? Did he pit? I think he pitted, didn't he? Sure he did. Raikkonen gets himself into P2 after his impromptu final pit stop of the race, second pit stop of Fernando Alonso now having got his way up, made his way into fourth place. So brilliant. Obviously, I think some of the cars in front of Alonso pitted, so he didn't actually have to do any overtaking, but now he's within 2 seconds of the Williams. What a drive this was by quite a few drivers today. And that Jordan was going... Well, he literally parked his Jordan on the apex of the first corner. Oh dear. I don't know what's going on, but I remember watching like a touring car race at Mexico last weekend, and they were referring to turn 1 as T1 now. Like, you know how they call position 1 P1? Turn 1 is now become T1. My God, Kimi, 7 tenths faster on his outlap than the race leader. Oh my goodness me, what are we about to witness? Could we be about to witness a shock today? Obviously, both Kimi and Alonso had taken 6 race wins at this point, but let's be truly honest, Kimi should have had at least 12 race wins by this point in the season with all the engine problems, the grid penalties he picked up at France, Britain, Italy, and of course this race at Japan. But of course, because he didn't get in a proper qualifying lap, his 10th place grid penalty didn't mean anything at Suzuka. Obviously, his car broke down in the lead at San Marino, the German Grand Prix, and of course that famous last lap tyre blow up at Europe where his suspension collapsed due to the vibration he picked up at the Nürburgring. Alonso is bearing up down the back of Mark Webber's BMW powered Williams, which of course, despite the fact that BMW V10 engine had gained a reputation around 2001 and 2003 as being the most powerful engine in the sport, by 2005, with of course the engines having to now last 2 race weekends, they decided to modify their engine by removing 7th gear and making it a 6th gear only engine, which, I mean, made the BMW V10 a lot slower and a lot less powerful. And I think by this point, I mean, Williams lost their straight line speed advantage, which really costed them in their final 2 years of their BMW partnership. Obviously, I know this is something that people forgot. Yeah, McLaren, thanks to De La Rosa and Alexander Wurz scoring 10 points at Bahrain and San Marino, were still fighting for the Constructors' title. Although it has to be said, Montoya's retirement on lap 1 could, well, really put paid to McLaren's thin chances of becoming Constructors' title in 2005. Oh, Alonso's now on the rear bumper of Webber, and he squeezes his way down the inside into the opening curve. A sublime move by the new world champion. Once again, his reactions and his eye for a move was spot on yet again. How he's into P3. What a move there, boys. Five to go. Oh my goodness me. Fisichella, man, you need to wake up. Your reputation is in tatters. You've been second best to Alonso all year. Oh my word, I think that move by Alonso on Webber was arguably almost as good as his move on Schumacher at 130R. Of course, Fisichella was seriously losing time. Oh my god, he's only like 3 seconds ahead of Kimi now. Kimi is absolutely flying. Oh my goodness me, I don't know what to do. My two favourite drivers at the time were fighting each other for the lead. I hadn't seen, for the first time since the 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix, Kimi and Fizzy were going hammer and tongue. 4 to go, 4 to go. Oh my god. I hope they don't crash like Fizzy did with Webber at the Malaysian Grand Prix that year. Look at the lap times. Kimi taking an average of 1.2 seconds a lap out of the leading Renault. Oh my god. Oh my word. Kimi's lapping in what? 1 minute 32, sub 1 minute 32. Fisichella can barely get underneath 1 minute 33. Oh my god, Kimi's now just 1.8 seconds behind the Italian. By the way, Alonso was now about 17 seconds behind Fisichella, so he was way out of contention. And look at that, there's a Minardi in the way of blocking Fisichella, which obviously is so suboptimal for Fisichella's defense. And look at that, Kimi is now, he's like a viper ready to put Fisichella into a never-ending nightmare. Kimi picks up the slipstream of Minardi and outbreaks him into the casino chicane. And now, with just less than 3.5 laps to go, Fisichella is in peril. 3 to go, 3 to go. 1.3 seconds out of Fisichella's lead. Oh my god. And just so you know, I will read out comments once we get this race done. Oh my god. You're kidding. You're kidding. Yeah, but Fisichella, you gotta push, mate. Push, push, push. Your reputation's on the line. Oh, Kimi taking his foot slightly off the throttle. Fisichella taking a narrow line into the casino chicane. That's going to slow him down so much onto the run down to turn 1. 2 to go now, 2 to go. Kimi goes around the outside, but there's not enough room to overtake. Can Fisichella hold on, or is it going to be a short Kimi Raikkonen win? If Kimi wins today, it's going to be his 7th win of a frustrating season where he's had the car and the speed to challenge for the title, but not the reliability. Oh! Even Alonso's now beginning to take a couple of seconds out of Fisichella at this point. Kimi closing up on Fisichella, coming out to the hairpin. Now they're heading down towards the spoon curves. Fisichella, you really need to watch your back, even with dirty air affecting Kimi and forcing Kimi to tap on the brakes. Kimi just refuses to disappear like a fly who's addicted to honey. Kimi. Oh, and Fisichella taking a very narrow line again into casino chicane. That's really going to make his life so difficult. Look how close it is. Kimi's now got the slipstream. Final lap. Oh my Lord, Vizzy! He's trying to shove Kimi up the road. Oh! Kimi's done it! What a move! Nah, no way. Kimi Raikkonen, this guy is the truth. Kimi Matthias Raikkonen is the truth. Look at that. Vizzy gonna try to catch Kimi off guard by going inside, and then he tried to close the door, but Kimi was having none of it. He went for the outside line and kept his foot down. He didn't care. Just like Michael Schumacher 20 laps previously, Kimi took the advantage, planted his foot to the throttle, and said, I'm winning today, bitch. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. We're witnessing Grand Prix greatness in front of our eyes. This is why Kimi was the best driver in F1 between 2003 and 7. I will maintain that opinion to the day I get buried 6 feet under or cremated in an urn. But Kimi squirms out to the final corner, but it doesn't matter. Kimi comes over the line and wins the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix. Get in there, yes! What a drive! Sublime, fantastic, scram, bloody licious. Oh my, what a drive, boys. Yes, of course, I forgot to update the order because I was so excited. There's your race winner on the final lap. He only led about 5 laps in the race, but thank you for 9 likes. Who cares? Webber 4th, Button 5th, Coulthard 6th, and the Schumacher brothers in 7 and 8, with Michael leading Ralph. Of course, it's been over a decade since Michael's skiing accident, so, you know, I know we've been all saying get well soon, Michael, but I don't even know what to say anymore. And by the way, what on earth were those 2 Turkish guys doing, trying to sell pictures of Michael? Just disgusting, really. I hope the Schumacher family all the best regardless, but look at this. Look at who that is. Kimi Matthias Raikkonen, best driver in the world at this point in 2005. Not a single driver could drive a racing car as fast as he could. Proper driver that. Proper drive. My God, Kimi even lifted his visor. He couldn't believe it himself. Down in P17, that was where Kimi started on the grid, and he, you know, yeah, he got a bit of help from the safety car, but his speed in clear air was indelible. It was just clear to see Kimi was the best driver on the day by a country mile. Driver of the day. Gotta give him an A star, A triple star. You know the truth. What a drive! What a drive! You know what? I'm gonna go and read comments now. So, thank you, Mr. Saver. I don't know why you're thanking me. You should be thanking Kimi. What a performance he produced that day. Let me just read. Yeah. McLaren partnership with Mercedes. Plucky Spaniard is a bit of a legend, lol. Actually missed Coulthard's career. He was a pretty solid driver. I mean, he took 13 race wins, David Coulthard. I mean, he did a pretty good at Red Bull, taking a couple of podiums there. Although, funnily enough, he drove in about 11 of the 14 cars he raced in F1 were designed by Adrian Newey, and it never yielded a single driver's title. He did finish runners-up in 2001, but he finished nearly 60 points behind the world champion Schumacher that year. Although we did have a lot of mechanical issues at places like Spain, Monaco, which forced him to start at the back of the grid when he'd taken pole position. And ended up only finishing 5th when he only gave out 2 points for 5th place. Yeah, I remember those days. And he also got crashed out of the race by Jarno Trulli and, of course, retired again at Germany, which totally ruined his season and meant he was forced to concede a title with 4 races remaining at Hungary. I don't know why you're congratulating me, say. Of course, Kimi took the win, and of course, he got paid tens of millions of pounds, dollars, euros for doing it. So, I mean, it's his career that we have to congratulate, not me. But what a drive. What a drive by Kimi. I think with, what was it? Was it 12 laps to go? 12 laps to go. Kimi was something like, I don't know, was it 17 seconds behind Fisichella? No, was it? No. 15, 16 laps to go. He took like more than a second out of Fisichella in the last 20 laps. Do you not realise how insane Kimi was in those final 20 laps? I can't explain it. I just can't explain it. Insane. Marvellous. Sublime. Spectacular. Supreme. Perfection. Just a pure motor racing talent. And of course, yes, I know after 2007, Kimi was not that great afterwards, but he was just... I mean, I can't actually remember when I watched this race. It was like, what, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning British time, so obviously I couldn't, like, jump for joy or make any noise because otherwise I would have got in trouble with my family, but at the time I was just gobsmacked. I didn't even say anything. My eyes were just transfixed to the screen. I mean, a part of me did feel sorry for Giancarlo Fisichella, but honestly, like, it just justified everything I thought about what was going on in F1 at the time, that Kimi Raikkonen, with better luck, he would have been at least a double world champion already at the age of just a month short of turning 26 years old. I mean, had he won 2003, he would have taken away Emerson Fittipaldi's then record of youngest world champion by at least 2 years, and become a champion a week short of turning 24 years old back in 2003. Like, what a driver peak Kimi Raikkonen was. Peak Kimi Raikkonen was just an animal like you've never seen before. What a driver. Wow, of course, yeah. McLaren would go on to miss out on a constructor's title a week later at China because, of course, Montoya would suffer more bad luck where he drove his car over a drain and it broke his suspension. I mean, it was a loose drain on the CCP design track at Shanghai. And Montoya, through no fault of his own, was forced to retire the race. I know, okay, some may say that another driver would have spotted a drain being dislodged, but it's just one of those things, of course. I mean, Renault, with no engine issues, were able to turn up at what was the 19th race of the season with a brand new engine for both Fisichella and Alonso. Alonso took advantage of Fisichella holding up Kimi for like the opening 20-odd laps, which peed me off big time. Won the race by like 20 seconds. And guess who finished third? Ralf Schumacher finished third. Which was crazy because, of course, Fisichella was forced to take a penalty for copying Kimi Raikkonen's tactics of holding the pack up. But the thing is, Kimi Raikkonen was able to get away with that tactic because the FIA had no rules at the time concerning drivers slowing down in the pit lane to bunch the pack up because, of course, Montoya was leading at Spa. But because of what Kimi's very, very clever little tactic, the FIA then wrote a new rule saying that drivers must drive at the permitted speed limit at all times when he entered the pit lane in all conditions, regardless of whether it's during a race or there's a red flag or anything. And of course, Fisichella tried to be clever, but of course he forgot about the FIA informing the drivers about the rule change. And I think Fisichella ended up finishing like 4th or 5th. And truth be told, Giancarlo Fisichella never mentally recovered from this race. What a shame. What a shame. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, I didn't celebrate or anything, though, so I don't know. At the time, I was just a kid, so I don't know. It was such a weird time. I mean, at the time, I actually wasn't that much of a Kimi Raikkonen fanatic as I would become in my later years, but I don't know. It's like, but the thing is, though, I think at this point I was kind of determined to be a Kimi Raikkonen fan due to the fact that the amount of bad luck he had at this point in his career. Another Alpine boss is gone with immediate effect. Yes, of course, I did hear the news that RE-WATCHALONG has been removed from his post at the Alpine team. And interim boss is now, of course, none other than Flavio Briatore. RE-WATCHALONG, after just 9 months, has been ousted from his post at Alpine, proving that team couldn't organise a camel race if their lives depended on it. It just couldn't. They simply couldn't do it. It's beyond their capabilities, folks. Enough of that race. Braking, yes. Braking. Oh my god, yeah, I think that automatically means that Franco Colapinto will be making his return to the grid sooner rather than later. Why Alpine is set to replace Zhou immediately? Absolutely. All these people, look at these people shitting for the Argentine driver, of course, saying, I was wrong about Colapinto. Yeah, I think some might start shitting for him. Alpine bombshell at F1 unchanged. Yep, Colapinto in, Zhou out, absolutely. Game over. It was always going to come, I'm afraid, this news. Sadly for Zhou, he never really stood a chance, but let's look at the lead. Kimi Raikkonen, with what was his 7th win of 2005, actually jumped ahead of Alonso for most race wins in 2005 at this point. Incredibly enough, I know Alonso would go on to take his 7th win of the season at China a week later, but you know, I know I've heard, like, I've interacted with Alonso fans concerning 2005, and they've said things like, you know, if we had the opportunity to take Vettel's 2010 and 2012 titles away from him and give it to Alonso, and in the process give 2005 to Kimi, we'd be happy to do it, because Kimi in 2005 was electric, insanely fast. Oh, right, thank you for the Champions League update. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not doing football tonight, and I'm not doing it tomorrow night. I think I'll do like a championship playoff predictions video instead, because obviously I've changed my the outlook of my Crystal Encore channel. So, you know, I mean, you could give me updates about the Premier League and Champions League all you want. It's just I'm not going to really talk about it. So, midfield Ferrari doing midfield Ferrari things. Indeed, it's been. I mean, to be fair, 2005 was Ferrari's first bad season since about 1996, 7-ish. But in reality, I mean, obviously, I mean, the thing is, Ferrari still finished second in both constructors' titles, championship standings. So I don't know. I mean, when was the last time Ferrari had a disastrous season? I think it's 1993. I think many people at the time were reporting 2005 to be Ferrari's worst season since 1993, when they finished fourth in the standings, with Ferrari both beaten by Williams, McLaren, who, by the way, were relying heavily on Senna for their points tally since Michael Andretti was, I don't know, struggling. Although many people in the Andretti camp were claiming that Andretti was given faulty settings on his car for the 13 races he competed at McLaren. And of course, the Benetton team, who were being carried by Michael Schumacher, of course. Ricciardo Patrese only scored 20 points in what was his final season, but of course the Ferrari F93A chassis was a piece of turd. Yeah, they won a couple of races in 94 and 95. Will I still do national teams? Probably, yeah, because I mean, with international football, it's just, we only get 5 international breaks, so it's not going to be that much of a fact, to be honest. I mean, obviously, I don't know what I'm going to do about international football. I will still do international football. It's just that I think the problem with European international breaks is that a lot of people really do despise them for pretty understandable reasons, due to the fact that the Champions League, the Premier League are just such big competitions, and stuff like the Nations League and the European Championship look completely minuscule in comparison. Don't worry, okay? I'll be back to my normal self when it comes to the international breakdown this summer. Although, of course, England will be playing Andorra and Senegal, so I probably won't even bother talk about England. I mean, but yeah, Ferrari were absolutely shambolic in 2005. Took their only victory of the season at the infamous Indianapolis Grand Prix, when 13 cars were forced to withdraw from the race due to Michelin having issues with their car and the tyres. I beg your pardon. Mark Webber was very, very, very diligent in this race, I will say. I will say the pit stop from Williams was absolutely inch perfect to overtake Button like they did. I mean, at the time, I thought Webber had actually overtaken Button on the track, but then now, having watched it again, it turns out that Williams actually helped Webber leapfrog Button in the final pit stop. So I have to say, you know, don't get me wrong, I know the previous season Button had taken 10 podiums in 19 races, but he didn't win a single race. Now, obviously, Ferrari had a faster car than everyone else, and he took 15 race wins, but there were a lot of people, fans, pundits, and commentators alike, who thought, you know, if you had Alonso, Kimi, or even Juan Pablo Montoya in that B8R Honda, that I mean, one of them could have won a couple of races in that the BAR Honda 006 chassis. So, tough really. But Button would eventually have his day of days at the Hungarian Grand Prix a year later. So, I mean, 15 wins and a World Championship is not a bad career. So, I mean, really, I mean, the thing is, though, the thing is, in terms of raw pace, I mean, everyone rated Alonso, Button, Kimi, Raikkonen higher than Button, and of course, someone like Webber, and even, I think there were even some that rated Barrichello above Button until they were paired up together, where it has to be said, throughout quite a lot of 2006, 7, and 8, Button and Barrichello were basically even Stevens for most of their time together at the Honda/Braun team. I mean, ultimately, Button would come up good in 2009 because he came clutch with the right mentality and the right approach to the new regulations, and the fact that Braun had designed a championship winning car. And I think Rubens Barrichello was also known for being really particular about the brakes. I mean, apparently he preferred to brake with his right foot, even though obviously that would cause the brake temperatures all sorts of havoc. Yeah, I mean, Bowen was actually quite an underrated driver throughout most of his career. Flavio Briatore, I know he's old, but he's got a sharp business brain on him. Like, let's not be funny here, folks. Colin Pinto is a better driver than Owen. I know Flavio is old, but I have to say Alpine are stuck between a rock and a hard place because Renault want to sell the team on to someone else. Like, they don't really want to keep hold of it because, honestly, since 2006, Renault have not been that particularly competitive. They've won about 3 races since the end of 2008. I will say, of course, they actually, I mean, if you count Alonso to win in 2008, which one of them has a huge asterisk for it for good reasons. I mean, they only won 5 races after 2007, so they're pretty right to want to sell the team on. It's costed them an absolute fortune to run Team Enstone, and they've got absolutely nowhere. I mean, the 2 best seasons they've had since 2007 have to be, I don't know, 2012 and 2013 when Kimi was driving for what was then known as Team Lotus. Lotus F1, I beg your pardon. I mean, yeah, you know, Briatore won Alonso 2 championships. He also won Michael Schumacher 2 world championships. And he helped Benetton become a Constructors' champion in 95. And of course, he also won Renault 2 Constructors' titles. So, gotta give the man credit. I know he's a bit of a slimy character and he's not, you know, a pleasant person whatsoever, but he did his job. He did his job as he was paid to do, even if there were very questionable moments like 2008 Singapore, where he got given what was supposed to be a 5-year ban, but of course he got shortened on appeal, and then I don't know. I mean, he's been able to come in and out of the sport at his own pleasure. I mean, having said that, though, I mean, Felipe Massa really should have. I mean, Felipe Massa still had like what 40 odd laps to rescue his race and to score a point, but he ended up finishing down in 13th. So I mean, that's his fault. And he even had a moment when he went off the road halfway through the race when Sutil crashed. So that was pretty dumb. Not very smart, I'm afraid, by the guy who would end up being a champion for only 20 seconds at Brazil before Timo Glock was caught struggling on dry tyres in the wet. And then, of course, Timo Glock had to be escorted out of the circuit by Brazilian security guards 3 years later from this race. So, I mean, I know Massa's been doing his court case. I mean, they're going to probably laugh it off. Or they'll pay him, they'll probably force the FIA to pay Massa a handsome sum just to get this whole court case done and over with. Because if Massa wins, then we all know, Hamilton will probably go for 2021. Alonso will probably pretend that, Vettel put a frog inside his bed back in 2010 and 2012 and say, oh, he put a frog in my bed. That's why I lost the championship in those 2 years. I want to become a 3-time champion, quadruple world champion. Oh, and then he'll probably say, McLaren blackmailed him in 2007. And then he'll come up and say, oh, well, why didn't, he'll probably, I don't know. Yeah, but it opens Pandora's box. That's the problem. I really hope Felipe Massa loses for the integrity of Formula One. Please don't let him win. Please don't let him win. I mean, there's been plenty of drivers who have worse luck than Massa. Kubica, rally accident. Hulkenberg never had a competitive car. Alesi, 1 win in 200 odd races. driving for Ferrari, Jordan, Prost, Sauber, Benetton, Tyrrell. Oh yeah, I could remember, what was it? After Verstappen won in 2021, I mean, what was their name? Van Amstelrooy Racing announced their entry into the Formula 2 Championship with a Twitter post labeled as VAR. VAR. Yeah, no, oh my God. I don't think Hamilton will ever sue Kimi for 2007. I think Lewis has got too much respect for Kimi to do anything like that. And I mean, he'll probably sue Max for what happened 4 years ago. Not Max, but Michael Massey in particular. He'll sue Massey for what he did at that Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, because whether you like Lewis Hamilton or not, like, he actually did what he had to do in the second half of 2021 by being the fastest guy on track, winning races regularly, closing down the points deficit. Kind of a bit like what Vettel did in 2010 and 12, where, Vettel was like 40 odd points off Alonso, but he closed the gap by consistently winning races when he did, even in spite of races like Korea, where his car blew up in 2010. I mean, I know Hamilton obviously had mechanical gremlins at the Brazilian Grand Prix in 2007, and of course the Chinese race where he parked his car on the gravel. Oh, the yellow flag incident. Oh yeah, there was a yellow flag incident where I think Vettel was speeding at Brazil, but he ignored it. But oh yeah, I know Alonso and Ferrari said something, but they couldn't get the FIA to do any sort of investigations because the FIA said that it was just too late. It was too late in the day, something weird like that, to investigate something like that, and it was just, I don't know, was it when he overtook Kobayashi? I don't know. And you know what? I think I'll end the stream there because I've got nothing else to say. Thank you for joining me tonight on this special stream. Thank you and good night.